She touched your shoulder lightly, but Archangel Michael felt something else transfer. You were marked. At first it was subtle, almost forgettable. A simple brush of the shoulder, light, passing, wrapped in the normalcy of daily life. But at 3:11 p.m., a moment split open in the spirit realm. What looked like a fleeting gesture was, in truth, a gateway. She touched your shoulder, yes, but something else moved. Something unseen. Something ancient. Something waiting. It is not for everyone to understand. Some will hear these words and shrug them off, saying, "It was just a touch." But not you. Because you felt it. You noticed the shift. In the air. In your breath. In your balance. A quiet unease began to creep in. Not fear, no, but awareness. Sensitivity. As if heaven had taken a breath and fixed its gaze on you. This is where the veil thinned. This is where Archangel Michael stepped forward, sword drawn not in violence, but in vigilance. He saw what your eyes could not. He felt what your skin tried to deny. For even before your mind questioned what happened, heaven had already recorded it. Heaven noticed before you did. Now you must listen. There are marks in the spirit realm, divine fingerprints, holy signatures, even unauthorized imprints. Not all who touch you come in peace. Not all who smile bear light. And some moments, like this one, carry weight far heavier than their appearance. For in that one innocent brush, something transferred. A signal was sent. A binding attempt was made. But what they didn't know is Michael was already near. This message is not for everyone. It's only for the marked. For those who feel watched, who feel altered, who feel as if something is not the same since that single moment. You are not imagining it. You are awakening to it. Stillness will reveal the truth. So pause. Pay attention. Breathe deeply. For this is not merely a warning. This is a divine moment of exposure. A moment of awakening. You are being called to remember what heaven has placed inside you and what darkness tried to mimic. This is your invitation into clarity, into obedience, into war, into protection. Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. Your shoulder was bright, but your spirit was claimed. Hear this now. The voice of the messenger has broken through. The veil is thin, and the moment is holy. Let the earth be still as the heavens declare a mystery long concealed. You were touched, but heaven heard the exchange. Archangel Michael has stepped forward. His sword is drawn not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities that dared to pass through human hands in disguise. This message is not crafted by man, nor is it ordinary in weight. It is divine. It is prophetic. It is time-sensitive. And if your heart is already racing as these words reach you, then you know this message is for you. Because something changed. You know it. At 3:11 p.m., she touched your shoulder, and while the world moved on around you, something unseen anchored itself to your soul. The sky was silent, but the spirit realm roared. Because that was no ordinary moment. That was a transaction. Within the next 48 hours, truth will begin to unfold. You are not imagining the pressure building in your chest. You are not confused without cause. The reason sleep has fled you, the reason thoughts are racing, the reason your inner peace has fractured, is because you were touched in the natural, but altered in the spirit. Not everyone will understand this, because not everyone is sensitive enough to feel what you felt. This word is not for the lukewarm, nor for the comfortable. This word is for the spiritually aware. For those who know, in their gut, that something followed them after that moment. For those who feel the eye, feel the shift, feel the weight. This is not about fear. This is about recognition. This is about the ones who were being prepared for war but didn't know the battle had already begun. You weren't expecting it, but heaven was watching it unfold. The hand that touched you carried more than kindness. A smile masked more than affection. This was a covert assignment, disguised in innocence. She may have leaned in gently. She may have laughed. She may have said nothing at all. But the energy that moved through her hand was not her own. What she released into you carried a residue, a marking. And that's why everything changed after that moment. That's why nothing feels settled. Because you were claimed without consent, and heaven noticed. There is a war being waged, not of hands but of energies. Not of words but of spirit alignments. She didn't have to say anything. She didn't need a ritual. She only needed access. And when you let your guard down, her touch became a tether, a link, a false connection. But fear not, because you were not alone. You were never alone. The Archangel stood nearby, observing not only what was done, but what was transferred. And now the message is coming through clearly. You were not targeted because you are weak. You were touched because you carry something she could never possess. The atmosphere around you has changed because the spiritual climate shifted the moment contact was made. You were set apart, and the enemy noticed. That shoulder with the point of contact, but your identity with a true target. And heaven let it happen, not as punishment, but as permission for the revelation to begin. The truth that you've been chosen, that you've been watched, that you've been marked, not for ruin, but for rising. Now, hear the charge. Within 48 hours, decisions will begin to rise in front of you. You will be confronted with what you didn't expect. Words will surface. Emotions will stir. But the truth will remain. The shoulder was touched, but your calling was activated. Michael is near. Michael is watching. Michael is protecting. The reason you feel unstable is not because you're broken. It's because your spirit is standing at the edge of revelation. The door has cracked open. Will you step through? Type "I am anointed" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. What really transferred into me? You kept telling yourself it was nothing. That moment, that brush, that laugh, the touch on your shoulder. You replayed it once, and again, and again. But no matter how much you tried to dismiss it, something inside of you knew everything changed. At first it was subtle. Your mood began to shift. Your thoughts became cloudy. The calm you once carried in your chest began to twitch with an unrest you couldn't explain. The room felt different, like eyes were there when no one was. You began to second-guess yourself. Were you overreacting? Was it all in your head? Or had something actually entered you in that brief moment? And the truth is this: something did. Because that was not just physical touch, it was a spiritual transference. Something passed through her and entered you. It wasn't visible. It wasn't loud. But it was powerful. It had assignment. It had intention. It had permission, not from heaven, but from hidden realms seeking to infiltrate the chosen. And you felt it. You knew it. Even if you never had words for it. Your peace didn't just vanish. It was pulled. Your focus wasn't just off, it was redirected. Your rest wasn't just interrupted, it was hunted. She touched you and smiled, but heaven saw the imprint. Since that day, since that hour, Since 3:11 p.m., your emotions haven't rested. You've experienced strange dreams. You've sensed presences near you when no one is there. You've caught yourself looking over your shoulder, not out of fear, but out of an unnamed awareness. Your spirit is alert, even when your mind tries to ignore it. You've noticed people behaving strangely around you, pulling back, drawing close, some avoiding your eyes, others watching too long. And deep down you keep asking, am I going crazy? No, you're waking up. You're not being paranoid. You're being stirred. Because this isn't about her anymore, it's about what she carried. And even more, it's about what was threatened by the anointing resting on you. You weren't just marked, you were targeted. And the most dangerous enemy is not the one who charges toward you with fire. It's the one who comes smiling, touching gently, speaking softly, and leaves you questioning yourself for days afterward. That's the art of deception. That's the tactic of infiltration. That's the signature of spiritual parasites, invisible, yet invasive. He wasn't alone either. Oh no, there were watchers, hidden, voted, observing. Some human, some not. Some who stood nearby, pretending to be engaged in their own lives, but their spirits were dialed into that exact moment. A moment of touch. And now, you feel as if your own body isn't moving the way it used to. You feel like you're not just fighting fatigue, you're fighting a weight, a spiritual gravity. Because you are carrying something that wasn't yours. Something that entered but was never invited. Well, hear this. What came in can be broken. What tried to cling can be stripped off. The confusion isn't permanent. The unrest is not eternal. This was never about punishing you. It was about pressing you toward awakening. Heaven permitted the encounter, not to destroy you, but to distinguish you. To show you what you couldn't see until the light inside you was challenged. But now it's time to ask the question you've been afraid to say aloud. What really transferred into me? Ask it. And listen. Because the answer will begin unraveling within the next 48 hours. Dreams, flashes, memories, unexpected words, they will come. Heaven is faithful to reveal the root when you seek the source. So don't run. Don't dismiss it. Don't medicate it. Discern it. Face it. Break it. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of up to $10. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the Support Here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. If you're seeking more insight like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You'll receive prophetic updates, spiritual guidance, and content designed to help you grow stronger in discernment and divine authority. Type "I am awakening" in the comments if this speaks to your spirit. Lesson code 7744 is now igniting your clarity. You were spiritually branded, not casually touched. Let the truth now be declared. That moment, yes, the very one you keep replaying, was never about affection. It was initiation. What looked like gentleness with a cloak. What felt like warmth was a mask. And the moment her hand met your shoulder, your spirit was marked, not by her, but by the force operating through her. Understand this now. You were branded in the spirit realm. That was no accidental contact. That was a calculated strike. A counterfeit seal attempting to cover what heaven had already claimed as its own. But listen to me closely. Because here's where the divine reversal begins. You were chosen, and that's why it happened. Michael saw it. The Archangel stood behind you in that instant. His eyes never left you. You watched the mark fall. You watched the tether attempt to take root. He observed it not in panic but in divine readiness. Because heaven does not react, heaven prepares. This was not punishment. This was promotion in disguise. Your discernment was being tested. Your spirit was being stretched. You were placed in a moment where affection disguised itself as alignment. And the true test wasn't the touch, it was your response to it. Many will never see it. Many will walk through these moments unaware. But not you. You felt it. You noticed. Even your silence afterward was a form of spiritual resistance. Your discomfort was not weakness. It was your discernment calling out in protection. And heaven took note. Because here is what you must understand. This moment was not about the woman. It was about the war. And in this war, your spirit has just been elevated. Because once you've been marked, you've also been called into deeper accountability. Yes, this was a spiritual initiation. And like every sacred rite, it begins with fire, the kind that tests, exposes, and refines. You now carry not just an awareness of the realm, but an authority in it. Do not question why it happened. Do not condemn yourself for being touched. This was allowed. It was written. This was watched. And it is being redeemed even now. Because your reaction is the gateway to your next season. Will you panic, or will you perceive? Will you run, or will you rise? Will you stay confused, or will you claim clarity? Because now, heaven is not just watching. It is responding. Angels have been assigned. Clarity is being loosed. And what was meant to seal you in deception is about to launch you into destiny. This isn't about what happened. This is about who you become because of it. Type "I am a warrior" in the comments if you receive this truth. Blessing code 1212 is now surrounding your spirit with divine intelligence. He didn't just touch you, he tethered you. The first touch was light. Innocent even. The world around you didn't blink. No alarms rang in the air. No thunder cracked the sky. But heaven knew what was set into motion. And now, as the days pass and your inner atmosphere refuses to settle, something else is drawing near. You will return. Yes, this is your warning. This is your prophetic alert. What was left undone in the first encounter will attempt to complete itself in the second. This time, it will not be a touch. This time, it will come wrapped in conversation. She will speak. Words will flow. Questions will come. An invitation may arise. And it will feel familiar, as if nothing ever shifted, as if all is well. But listen closely. You are not the same. And neither is he. You must understand what's coming. Within the next 3 days, the pull will begin. You will feel a strange draw, not just emotional, but energetic. You will feel her name surface in your thoughts unexpectedly. You will notice a message, a glance, a comment, a memory, some form of subtle connection designed to reel you back in. This is not coincidental. This is intentional. The spirit behind her assignment is not finished with you. It needs closure. It seeks consent. It cannot fully anchor unless you engage again. But you must not. Because the first time was about marking. The second time is about manipulation. That is the enemy's pattern, to first brand, and then bind. And if you react emotionally, if you respond casually, if you open your heart without discernment, then you grant access again to something that was already broken by heaven's intervention. This is your command. Resist the impulse. She'll come with calmness. She may not even speak directly about that day. She may mention other things, create an atmosphere of nostalgia, vulnerability, or soft reconciliation. But beneath her words is a web, spiritual strands designed to link your soul, to rethread your emotions, to tie down your calling. You will feel confusion rise. You may even feel compassion. You might even feel guilty for resisting. But none of those feelings are a signal to act. They are distractions, temporary clowns. Because this is a war of vibration, not of flesh. The conflict that is rising around you is not random. It is a spiritual clash between who you were and who you are becoming. The touch set something in motion, and heaven allowed it, not to bind you but to reveal who and what has been watching you quietly. You didn't just bet you. She tethered you. Or at least she tried. And that is why everything now feels tense, uncertain, even explosive. Because the tether is being broken by divine intervention, and the one who initiated it will feel the severance. That's why she's coming back. Not because she misses you, but because she senses the loss of control. This moment is sacred. Do not waste it. Every reaction you offer in the next 3 days will serve one of two forces, either the spirit of the living God, or the force that tried to claim you through deception. You will not be destroyed, but you can be delayed if you respond out of flesh. Be still. Be sober. Be wise. If confusion rises, worship. If emotions stir, pray. If questions linger, speak in the Spirit. But do not answer the call that comes from the soul tether. Because this is not about her presence, it's about the power behind her presence. You were marked, yes, but you were not conquered. And you will not be claimed by any hand not sent by heaven. Type I refuse the tether in the comments. Blessing code 9922 is shattering all hidden soul ties. Michael protects those who pause. Now that the warning has been given, here is your strategy for survival and sovereignty. Withdraw. Do not react. Do not respond. Do not reach. This is not the time to explain. This is not the time to prove. This is not the time to appease anyone's expectation. This is your time to pause, because spiritual power gathers in stillness. This moment is about alignment, not explanation. This moment is about preservation, not participation. Archangel Michael stands guard. He does not move with noise. He does not answer every call. He waits. He watches. He protects those who choose stillness over struggle. You must follow his lead. Your defense is not your voice. It is your restraint. The one who touched you didn't expect you to pause. He expected reaction, emotion, response, entanglement. But your silence will now speak louder than anything you could ever say. Stillness will reveal the truth to everyone watching. And there are many watch you. Withdraw. Go silent. Not in fear, but in power. Go inward, not to hide, but to fortify. This is not retreat. This is the repositioning of the chosen. When the enemy comes in one way, the obedient child of God moves in the opposite rhythm. You are being called to disappear for a moment, not from destiny, not from duty, but from distraction. Because what is coming next in your life requires an atmosphere of spiritual clarity, not emotional chaos. The energy attached to that touch still lingers in the air, and every time you try to confront it in your flesh, it thickens. But every time you go silent and enter into communion with the Spirit, it breaks. Let these affirmations clothe your heart. I am sealed. I am watched by heaven. I am not alone. I am not available for soul ties. I am not accessible to emotional manipulation. I am covered by the blood of Jesus. I am guarded by angels on assignment. I will not fold. I will not fear. I will not flinch. This posture, this sacred silence, is not cowardice. It is confidence in the covering of God. This is how you win spiritual battles, not by reacting louder, but by standing taller in stillness. Your stillness is a sword in the spirit realm. It cuts through chaos. It severs confusion. It sends signals to heaven that you trust the divine strategy more than your flesh's desire to prove a point. Michael is watching. Heaven is documenting. The enemy is confused by your refusal to engage, and that confusion is your weapon. Because confusion sows instability into the enemy's camp, and as you pause, the web they wove will collapse under the weight of its own deception. Do not post about it. Do not speak about it. Do not explain to your friends. Go into the secret place. There, you will be reminded that you were never alone in this. You were never unprotected. You were never without angels on guard. You are not being ignored by heaven. You are being hidden by heaven. Hidden so the healing can deepen. Hidden so the weight of the enemy's plans cannot find you. Hidden so you can receive instructions for the next chapter. This is protection. This is covering. This is holy isolation. And it is only temporary, but it is utterly transformational. Type I am sealed in the comments if you receive this protection. Blessing code 5151 is now hovering over your space with divine clarity. You are not weak. You were being tested. You've made it this far, and that alone is proof that the hand of God has not left your life. You've carried the weight of confusion, the ache of uncertainty, the question that haunts, why did it happen? But now let the truth thunder into your soul. It was not to break you. It was to prove you. What happened to you wasn't because you were weak. No, child of God. It happened because you are being called. This was a test, a divine confrontation disguised as an earthly moment. That touch, that exchange, that unsettling feeling afterward, it was not a curse. It was a key to unlock a part of you that would have never awakened had you not been forced into discomfort. What you felt was not failure, it was activation. And that inner trembling was not a sign of defeat. It was the evidence that your spirit was responding to the call of heaven. Heaven never sends its warriors into battle untested. And that's what this was. A spiritual boot camp wrapped in a moment of emotional intimacy. She touched your shoulder lightly, yes, but the weight that followed wasn't human. It was engineered to confront the oil on your life. It was sent to challenge the rising that has already begun within you. Because when the anointing on your life begins to attract attention, so do the assignments against it. But here is the turning point. You passed the test, not because you responded perfectly, but because you recognized what was happening. You discerned the shift. You refused to call it ordinary. You felt it. You paused. You listened. And in that obedience, power has now begun to rise from your very bones. Now is the time to silence the shame. That voice inside telling you that you let something in, that you failed to protect yourself, that you weren't strong enough. That voice is lying. The enemy wants you to be so distracted by guilt that you miss the authority that has just awakened within you. But I declare to you now, the guilt breaks. The shame shatters. The condemnation is silenced. For what looked like a spiritual attack was in fact a spiritual awakening. Hear me. Wings are growing where wounds were made. You are not weaker because of what happened. You are wiser. You are not scarred, you are sealed. What once was pain is now becoming your point of power. That shoulders you touch, it now carries spiritual armor. That space of your soul that felt invaded, it is now fortified with holy fire. And when you walk from here, you will not walk in fear. You will not walk in hesitation. You will walk in the knowledge that you were marked, not by her, not by darkness, but by destiny itself. The touch didn't steal your purpose. It activated it. It revealed it. It proved it. You were not just touched. You were targeted by purpose. And now you know. Now you rise. Now you reclaim everything the enemy hoped you would bury beneath your confusion. The tears you cried after that moment, they watered the ground where new authority now stands. Let the wind carry this truth into your soul. You are not defeated. You are becoming. You are not lost. You are ascending. And from this day forward, your identity will not be shaken by anyone who comes close with fake affection. You now carry eyes that see through masks, ears that hear beyond flattery, and a heart that follows only the sound of the shepherd's voice. Type "I am rising" in the comments. Blessing code 8484 is igniting your mantle. This was about activation, not destruction. It is time now for the veil to lift completely. You've stood in stillness. You've held the line. And now, heaven speaks the deeper truth. This was never about taking you down. It was about calling you up. This entire moment, strange as it seems, was an act of divine permission. Not to punish, not to wound, but to wake. Archangel Michael permitted the mark. He stood watching, not helplessly but sovereignly, because there was something hidden in you, something buried, something sacred that could not be drawn out through ease. It needed confrontation. It needed contradiction. It needed this brush with darkness to reveal the depth of light you carry. What she touched was not just your shoulder. She touched the seal of heaven you've carried since before birth. And when her hand connected, it was as if every spiritual system surrounding you was jolted into awareness. The oil on your life spoke. The call on your name answered. And now, destiny is moving. The truth must be spoken plainly, that touch was a counterfeit anointing. She was sent to mimic what heaven had already planned to release. It looked like affection, but it was imitation. It looked like intimacy, but it was invasion. And the moment that happened, the spirit realm opened, because heaven does not allow counterfeits to remain unchallenged. This is why your spirit stirred. This is why your peace fled. Because something false came close to something holy. And what you felt was not fear, it was spiritual friction. Your destiny groaned when the counterfeit came near. But in that groan, the glory began to rise. You were always destined for more. That's why she reached. She didn't just come out of nowhere. She was drawn by the light on your life, a light you may not have fully recognized yet, but a light that was always there. And now, through this strange transaction, heaven has given confirmation through conflict. You are chosen. You are marked. And now, you are seen in the realm of power. Let it settle into your bones. Heaven spoke your name before you ever noticed her hand. You were not claimed by darkness. You were not stolen. You were not tricked. You were unveiled. The fire came, but it did not consume. It refined. It announced. It elevated. And now that the revelation has come, you must move in it. And no more doubting what you carry. And no more questioning your gifts. No more denying your sensitivity. You were touched, but you were already titled by heaven. And the title stands above the touch. The elevation has begun. You will feel it in your sleep, in your speech, in your steps. The atmosphere around you will change again, but this time, it will be marked by clarity, not confusion. By direction, not distraction. By authority, not anxiety. Because what tried to destabilize you has now become your confirmation. What you thought was the end was actually the entrance. What she tried to deliver was not poison. It became permission for heaven to rise within you. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of up to $20. Your kindness helps us continue creating and delivering prophetic revelations like this. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. If you're ready for more prophetic insight, spiritual warfare strategies, and real-time revelations, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. New guidance is released weekly to help you walk fully in your anointing. Type I am activated in the comments if this word confirms your season. Blessing code 1010 has opened over your destiny. Your yes is louder than their curse. Now comes the moment where silence breaks into declaration. Now comes the hour when heaven doesn't just whisper your name, it waits for you to speak it aloud. This is the moment of activation. Not by feeling, not by force, but by agreement. You've been touched. You've been tested. You've been tried. But now you are being called to respond, not in fear, but in faith. Not in question, but in bold, spiritual agreement. Speak your identity. Declare your authority. Let it echo in the spirit realm. Because heaven has done its part. It has shielded you, awakened you, revealed the counterfeit, broken the tether. But the gate of your next season swings on the hinge of your mouth. Until you speak who you are, you remain under the label of what was spoken over you. But when you declare what heaven has spoken within you, chains break. Katas scatter. The atmosphere shifts. You are not powerless. You are not overlooked. You are not random. You were set apart long before the touch ever happened. And the reason that contact was so spiritually violent was because your yes scares hell. Your obedience makes the enemy tremble. That's why the counterfeit came first, to silence your voice before it could shake the realm. But you made it. You are here. You wave. And now you must rise and speak what heaven has already sealed. Say it, I am chosen. I am marked. I am sent. Say it, I belong to no hand but the hand of God. Say it, I refuse false alignment. I reject emotional bondage. I rise in spiritual clarity. There is power in the spoken word. Creation came through breath. Deliverance comes through declaration. Destiny activates not through emotion, but agreement. And as you begin to say it, to speak your freedom, your identity, your protection, heaven begins to move again. Angels are stirred by divine alignment. They do not respond to confusion. They respond to conviction. This is your moment to step forward. This is your moment to rise. Because the fog is lifting. The noise is fading. And what remains is purpose. You are here to carry something. To build something. To birth something. You were not created to be a victim of spiritual confusion. You were born to be a conduit of divine clarity. And that's what this attack tried to shut down. But no more. Your silence has served its purpose. Now your voice must rise. Because there are things in your atmosphere that will not move until you command them. There are lingering traces of darkness still waiting for your disengagement. And that disengagement comes through the force of your agreement with heaven. You are not what touched you. You are not what haunted you afterward. You are not what tried to anchor itself to your shoulder, to your emotions, to your thoughts. You are what God breathes over before you were ever born. Speak life. Speak alignment. Speak assignment. Heaven is listening, waiting, watching. Because the power isn't just in being marked. The power is in marking back. And every declaration you make now scars the forces that tried to silently tether you. Don't wait until you feel strong. Don't wait until you understand everything. Speak now. Declare now. Shift now. Because your yes is louder than their curse. Your yes carries the resonance of heaven. And in that yes, your future is unlocked. Type yes to destiny in the comments if your voice is rising. Blessing code 3131 is now launching your spiritual authority. Do it never do, it would move through. Look back for a moment, not with fear, but with clarity. At date, at moment, at 3:11 p.m. it wasn't about her smile. It wasn't about her laughter. It wasn't even about her words. It was about the transfer, the exchange, the transaction that took place beyond what your eyes could see. You must understand this now. That moment was a spiritual negotiation. You thought you were just standing still, maybe distracted, maybe lost in thought. But in the spirit realm, there was movement. While your body stood still, your soul was being scanned. While your mind tried to make sense of her presence, your spirit was witnessing a silent trade. Because it was never really her. It was what moved through her. Something entered the room before she did. Something ancient. Something that recognized the light you carried and tried to mask itself in familiarity. The touch was a moment of collision between two forces. And you stood at the center of it, unaware at first, but your soul felt it. Your spirit flinched. Your atmosphere shifted. And that's how you know. It wasn't natural. It was spiritual. What you released was not her own. It came with residue. It came with weight. It came with intent. But what it didn't know, what it could never comprehend, is that you were already marked by heaven. You carried a seal, a light, a name etched in eternity. And as soon as that transaction occurred, the entire spiritual realm tilted in response. Because angels were summoned, like clashed with imitation. And what you felt afterward, the dizziness, that heaviness, that mental noise, was the echo of war in the unseen. There was a divine trade in that moment. Your discomfort awakened discernment. Your pain gave birth to perception. Your confusion forced you to enter prayer. And while you wept in silence, while you wrestled with emotions you couldn't define, while you sat in stillness wondering what was happening, heaven was moving. Angels were assigned. The books were opened. And something glorious began. Heaven began writing your spiritual codes. A recalibration began in your spirit. What was touched has now become mantled. What was disturbed is now being strengthened. Where fear once lived, now there is ferocity. You need to know this truth. You didn't just survive that moment. You were elevated through it. You didn't just endure the exchange. You were refined by it. Because even though the transaction was silent, your spirit shouted in resistance. That's what saved you. That's what marked you. That's what heaven responded to. And now, the effects of that moment are being reversed. You're in. Remantled. The mark that darkness attempted to place has been overshadowed by glory. You are now carrying a new assignment, not because of what she gave, but because of what heaven revealed through her failure. She tried to shift your alignment, but heaven used her to confirm your assignment. And now, something deeper is rising. Not just protection, prophetic purpose. Not just awareness, authority. That moment was never just about spiritual warfare. It was about spiritual inheritance. You were shown that light and darkness cannot coexist, not just in theory, but in your own life. And now, your atmosphere is shifting permanently. You are now wearing what the enemy tried to steal. You are now wielding what was once your wound. The exchange was silent, but the result is supernatural. You are not only free, you are now dangerous to the darkness. Type I have been mantled in the comments. Blessing code 1919 is crowning you in divine reversal. What she released will return to her tenfold. Now the gavel falls in the spirit. Now the courtroom of heaven resounds with the voice of justice. What was whispered in darkness is now shouted in light. What was done subtly God will expose publicly. For it is written, the Lord is a righteous judge, and his eye never blinks when injustice moves. The moment she touched you, heaven marked her actions. The moment she attempted to imprint you with false alignment, the record was opened, and the countdown towards spiritual reversal began. This is the hour when spiritual justice is enforced, not by vengeance of the flesh, but by divine ordinance. You see, she thought you would walk away untouched, that her words, her hand, her energy would leave no trace. But she miscalculated one critical detail. You are chosen, and anything sent against the chosen of God must answer to the court of heaven. You did not just disrupt your peace, she trespassed into sacred territory. She placed her hand on a vessel that heaven had sealed. She made contact with a soul that angels were already assigned to guard. And now, her assignment has failed, and the spiritual backlash will not miss its target. What she released will return to her tenfold, not because you wish it, but because spiritual law has already been enacted. You are not cursed. You are not bound. You are countered with glory. Heaven has already reversed the imprint. Heaven has already washed what was touched. Heaven has already covered what was momentarily exposed. And now the very hand that reached to mark you will feel the weight of divine reversal. Don't mistake this for revenge. This is not about bitterness. This is not about ego. This is about restoration and enforcement. What was meant to defile you is now being turned into divine confirmation. You have entered the season where everything they tried to delay will now accelerate. Every plan they had for your distraction will become a platform for your promotion. Every word spoken in secret against your assignment is now being dismantled by angelic scribes who have recorded it all. Heaven missed nothing. God saw the smirk. He heard the groan. He counted every move. And not one seed of deceit will go unharvested. Justice is not only coming, it has already begun. Your clarity, your peace, your renewed strength is the first wave of the reversal. The second will be external. You will see shifts. You will hear things. You will watch circumstances play out. Not so you can gloat, but so you can understand that God vindicates his vessels. Yes, you are being restored. Yes, you are being elevated. Yes, the mark has turned into a mantle. But that is not the end of the story. Now, the one who sent the assignment must face the consequences of targeting a chosen one. And let this truth settle deep within you. Heaven has recorded everything. Every word. Every motive. Every silent manipulation. The one who thought she moved unseen is now fully known in the courts of heaven. He didn't just touch you. He provoked a spiritual reaction. And now heaven is responding with fire, not to destroy her, but to dismantle the network that allowed that moment to happen. Because this wasn't just her. This was something ancient operating behind her. And that force has now been exposed, rendered powerless. shamed by your survival. The enemy wanted you marked for confusion. But now you are marked for clarity and command. You're walking forward not just with restoration, but with prophetic clarity. No more fog. No more hesitation. No more wondering. You now know who you are, what you carry, and why you were targeted in the first place. It was never about punishment. It was about positioning. And now that you've come through, now that the reversal is manifesting, you will walk in places where others fell. You will speak where others went silent. You will stand where others bowed. Because your mark is no longer a wound. It is a witness. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of up to $5. Your kindness helps us keep releasing more powerful, spirit-led messages just like this. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the Support Here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. You'll receive exclusive prophetic updates, deeper spiritual insight, and tools to help you stay strong in your calling. Type "I receive divine justice" in the comments. Blessing code 7171 is releasing heaven's gavel over your life. You are sealed, seen, and sent. Now rise. Let the final word be sealed in your spirit. You would touch it, yes, but heaven marked you first. Before her hand reached for your shoulder, the hand of the Almighty had already written your name on the palm of eternity. Before confusion tried to enter, clarity had already claimed you. Before darkness whispered lies, light had already spoken destiny. Now, stand in the certainty of this. You are no longer wandering. You are walking in wonder. Every step you take from this moment forward is lit by divine intelligence. Every breath you breathe now carries sacred alignment. Every time your heart beats, it echoes a truth that no hand, no touch, no deception can undo. You are chosen. You are covered. You are rising. This journey hasn't been easy. You were shaken. You were disrupted. You were temporarily pierced by confusion. But you never broke. And that is why you are being clothed in fresh fire. That is why heaven has surrounded you with the codes of angels. That is why Michael himself has stood guard over your transformation. You are no longer responding from the wound. You are now living from the well. The well of purpose. The well of protection. The well of divine instruction. The storm you walked through was not to drown you. It was to cleanse the old version of you, to strip away what you didn't need, and to reveal the authority you always carried underneath. As we close, let these words brand your soul. You are sealed. You are seen. You are sent. You are sealed. No mark of deception can cling to you any longer. The counterfeit has been exposed, and the real has emerged. You are seen, not just by heaven, but by the right people, the right voices, the right kingdom connections. Visibility is your portion, and honor is following you. You are sent. This moment was not just about survival, but about launching. Heaven has released you into your next, not just healed but mantled, not just clear but commissioned. Now rise. Rise in strength. Rise in discernment. Rise in clarity. Walk like the anointed child you are. And never again forget what this moment revealed, not about her, but about you. You were always called. You were always covered. You were always a threat to darkness. And now, the world will begin to see it. Type "I am sent" in the comments to confirm your final release. Blessing code 9999 is sealing your elevation in the heavens. Let this be your decree as you step out of confusion into clarity. I am not who they touched. I am who heaven has marked. Now go, sealed, seen, and sent. Your next chapter begins now.